Hello, and welcome to Politically Challenged. This is Ron, this is Hugh, and let's get started.
Cool. It's been an interesting week for us. We've been uploading every day.
Yes, it's mainly to keep the traction going on this channel because we only have about 20-something subscribers, and we need to have 1,000 by the end of the month.
What's the day today?
The 23rd of March. So we need like 980 more subscribers. That way we're more likely to get the monies.
Monies.
Obviously, we created this podcast so that
Well, we'd have a creative outlet. That was one of the reasons, and also we thought it was fun. But
yeah, we thought it was fun, but we need the monies. Sometime soon we'll be creating a Patreon account and a business account so that you guys can be sending us the monies in exchange for rewards. You know, like how some of these YouTube channels, they say, oh, for £10 a month, you get exclusive content a day before anyone else. For £20 a month, you get content that no one else gets. For £50 a month, you can enter a draw to win a free prize. For £100 a month, you'll see us recording our underwear, stuff like that. Stuff like that.
Maybe you. Maybe they can say you like that.
I'm having hay fever or something. My eyes, I need to rub them. Plus, we ate food earlier and the onions were messing with my eyes. The funny thing is, we need to talk about this seriously. So before we get into the topic, let's briefly say we are focusing on brand awareness, making sure more people know who we are. So if you're actually watching this, you've got to make sure that you like our videos, that you subscribe to our videos, and when you subscribe, press the cute little grey bell. Tell them about the grey bell.
He wants you to ding it.
I want you to smash that like button, smash that bell. That way, when you smash that grey bell, it tells you every single notification, every single time we post. It will send a ring, 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 ring to your phone or to whatever device you're using, and it will tell you, it will email you a notification, or it will send a notification to your phone saying, Politically Challenged have put up a brand new video, watch it right now.
From 2015, apparently.
What?
We're talking about that. Like, that was weird. We found a channel who uses our picture from 2015.
YouTube have this weird thing of auto-generating videos, and we have a challenge. We have the YouTube channel that they auto-generated apparently started in 2015.
It's backdated.
But we've only been doing this podcast, well, this online show. Let's call it an online show for now. We've only been doing it for just over a year, like for a year and about 6 days, and for some reason, this channel that is Politically Challenged #topic or #topic, it's got like 1 subscriber and a bunch of views, and it's just music videos with still images, and none of it's to do with us. So that's one thing. If you see Politically Challenged, click on the one that has my face and his face on it. Smash that like button, comment on the videos. For example, why does he talk too much? He's crazy. Why does he keep saying the same thing 10 times? Anything, because even the bad stuff means more publicity, more activity, which means people are more likely to see our own content. So obviously we would prefer if you said nice things on our channel so people stay. But that means we need to produce better, more exciting, more alluring content. And that's what we're working towards. And from next week onwards, or whenever we get this Patreon account sorted, we will invest more time, money, and effort into creating a fantastic channel, or turning this channel into a fantastic channel so that it'll be worth your pennies and your pounds and your notes. And then with those notes, obviously we will use it to get better equipment, better microphones, lighting, sound. We might even employ people if we have a lot of money down the line, laptops, cameras, whatever we need to make this into the politically challenged experience, whatever we need. And for that to happen, we need some money. I pour money in, he pours money in.
I pour money in this.
But we need more. So next week onwards, hopefully we get that Patreon account sorted. But we have to register whatever this is as a legitimate company, so that, you know, when we want to create other things, we can just use this company to house everything that we'll be doing from now on. So let's pretend it's called Politically Challenged Corporation, and then we get a registered business account with a company, one of these modern banks, and then from that we set up a Patreon account so that it's clean, it's fresh, and then we can start building our, could you say something? Our monies from there. We can accumulate the monies, we can make the monies higher and higher and taller and bigger. And with the monies, we can expand on the channel and make it 10 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times better.
I'm not sure how that's possible, but we'll try.
It is possible.
Yeah, that was a bit longer than I thought you'd go, but I'm guessing someone would probably have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, as you, ironic, you said how Hugh says the same stuff, blah blah blah.
Some of us might be edited out, but okay. Now that that's out of the way, do you want to say something?
Well, that's the only thing I wanted to talk about, but again, like, we both tried some different stuff over YouTube this week. I went for a kind of artsy approach. Hugh went for in your face, this is real, this is happening approach.
Yes.
How would
he
you...
has a laptop, so he took some clips, made an artistic video essay, expanding on real life issues.
Yeah.
And I just shouted into my own smartphone.
Well, to anyone that actually gave that video a go, warning gets loud at the end. Like, they see me talking on this and they realize, and anyone who watches them might be like, it's hard to kind of hear me. So, for the record, without him, like, I was pretty nervous, so that was literally the loudest I can get. So, if anyone soldiered through that video, thanks. And if I make another one, I might attempt one of those again. I'm hoping that...
I'll make sure that he puts out more videos, because so far it's just me. I don't want it to be so that it's just me. This is an equal thing. I don't want to like overtake or overstep. So obviously I need to make room for him to make his own videos, but he needs to make the videos.
Yeah, but I need to, like, again, I need to gain, like, I was pretty nervous talking on my own. Kind of way I need you to, like, be my building block.
His rock, his anchor, his building block.
Rock makes sense. Anchor pulls you down. You're not my anchor here.
People always say anchor. I mean, what you said makes sense, but people always say anchor for some reason.
Land ho. When you get to land, you put the anchor.
It's almost 9 minutes in.
Of waffle.
Yes. Or depending on how much of this we cut out, it could be 6 minutes in, 5 minutes in. We're not sure yet.
1 minute in.
30 seconds in.
Alrighty, so today was the march. We didn't go. I think he wanted to go. If anyone...
I feel that we could have gone, because it would be nice to like interview people at the march and say, how was it? Why are you here? What do you really think of Brexit? Do you think it's a farce? Do you think it's a good idea? Oh, what sort of Brexit do you want? But for that we need microphones, we need cameramen, we need cameras.
We need a phone with more storage.
We need more money.
we need a phone with more storage.
No. We need cameras so that we can create the content on actual professional cameras and then download it all onto a laptop and then upload it. As opposed to my beautiful Samsung S9 with beautiful quality. Buy yours now. Unpaid promotion.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This is going to be one of those wacky videos. We tend to be very serious. I think anyone who watched our other videos, thanks for watching those. Well, this is more light-hearted, but it would have been like really cool if like we went with you and me gone, like you could have been the interviewer, I could have been behind the camera. I prefer that. But like, you could have been like, "Hey, welcome to Political Fan TV. What do you think about the EU?"
Well, I think that the EU is a wonderful place, a magical place, and we should never leave.
What do you say about that, sir?
Am I supposed to be someone else? Well, I've... Oh, God. Well, I think that's a load of nonsense. We chose to leave the EU because it is an undemocratic institution where these Eurocrats, these pro-EU bureaucrats keep telling us what to do all the damn time. I don't like it. I don't want to keep bailing out other countries. We have enough. Why am I making fun? These are actually valid points. Obviously, you have to think about it. Put the fake camera, put the fake microphone away.
I know.
You have to think about it like this. There are lots of people that voted for Brexit for good reasons. The media want you to believe that Brexit happened because of all the people that were afraid of Syrians and Iraqis coming from Syria and Iraq.
Well, not from Europe.
And then to Turkey. Once Turkey becomes an EU state, all they have to do is get permanent residence in Turkey, and then they can just fly anywhere in the EU. That's what the UKIP side of the Brexit campaign wanted you to believe.
I actually remember, I always watch this, but I never...
Actually, not just UKIP. It was actually on the official Brexit campaign leaflets that they would send to people's doors. I still have those.
I remember an advert that was basically a riot happening in basically the Turkish equivalent of the House of Commons, and it was basically saying, "This is what you're voting to remain with," or something.
Even though Turkey wasn't and still isn't in the EU.
And for the record, I thought it was very harsh on Turkey. Why was that banned? That was very anti-Turkey. Like, I've met Turkish people; they're perfectly nice people. And why would it be the worst thing about Turkey joining the EU? What's wrong with Turkey? What did Turkey ever do?
Erdogan's principles and.
Who's that?
Because this is Erdogan, the leader of the country. He's not very pro-West, is he? So obviously the Western media don't like that. So they're going to paint him in a bad light. No matter how bad or how good of a person he is, he's automatically going to be put in a bad light because he's not pro-West.
Yeah, but that's just one person. But what about the rest of the country? Plenty of people go to Turkey and have a nice time. And plenty of Turkish people come over here and are perfectly nice, decent people. I've been to Turkey on holiday. People are perfectly friendly. You could go 3 in the morning. You could walk around Istanbul, no problem. I was 10 or something. I wasn't never I don't like the dark, but I had no problem with walking around Turkey. They're very nice people. Always fly with Turkish Airlines.
Another unpaid promotion. You see, we need to gain traction so that we can get these brand sponsorships and brand deals. Because obviously, because of the likes of that bloke that complained about pedophiles on YouTube, the second adpocalypse has come. So people who have been doing this for years keep getting demonetized for many different reasons. There are the politically inclined YouTubers like the Watsons of the world who get demonetized because of their extremist views. Then there are the gamers and the comedians and the makeup artists and all the other people who do other stuff not related to politics on YouTube as a full-time career, but they get demonetized because the YouTube algorithm doesn't favor their content, whether their videos are too short or too long, or if they swear in the videos, whatever reason, they get demonetized. So they can't rely on ad revenue anymore if they ever did. So the definite thing for people like us, when we get bigger as a YouTube channel, is to get sponsorship deals and brand deals so that we can create, that's the best way. But if you don't want our channel to be one of those channels where we only talk about sponsored stuff and we're sponsored by people whose views you don't like. Let's say, for example, hypothetically, Breakbot picked us up.
I don't know what that is.
No, okay. Or an extremely right-wing or an extremely left-wing investor picked us up and we were only allowed to talk about those views. That's there's a 1% chance of that ever happening, and there's a further smaller chance of us accepting the deal because we don't want our views to be manipulated by whatever somebody wants us to say. But for that to happen, we have to stay independent, and to stay independent, well, we're going to have to
rely on other people to sponsor us on Patreon.
The irony. Yeah, Patreon is one way, but also we're trying to get content, make better content so that people actually watch it.
Yeah, different types of content. That was why my idea was, if I could figure out how to put it there. Idea was kind of like a testing exercise, see what I could do. Again, if I do get another idea, I'm going to try to speak louder, clearer. And when, like, at some point, you could try an Nazi style video if you want.
Well, what could we do? If you lot have any comments, any ideas, any suggestions,
again, this video won't just be on our YouTube.
Comment below.
It'll be shared on our Facebook community, so someone will comment.
Wherever you see this video, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube or somewhere else, comment below. Tell us your ideas. Private messages if you have access to that. Tell us, Ron, Hugh, this is what we would like to listen to. For example, let's say if somebody wrote, I remember from months ago, somebody wrote, oh, talk about wealth inequality. Well, I haven't researched that in depth, but that's for like 2 seconds. It seems that the majority of people are nowhere near as rich as the top 10 people in the world. The majority of the top 10 people in the world, the top 10 richest people in the world, but specifically, well, especially the Western world, they seem to be straight white dudes. Now, people feel as if people feel that has any correlation. I don't think it does. But what's more important is the type of industries that these people go into. If you think about the richest man in the world, which is currently Jeff Bezos, until he gets divorced. Jeff Bezos, he's worth, what, $150 million? He's in retail. He's on online retail. He's in e-commerce. That's his thing. That's what he does. If you think about the second richest, Bill Gates, he's in technology. And he does a bunch of other things as well. If you look at the likes of all of these people, the Larry Pages, all of the people in the world that are in the top 10 bracket, they are either in technology, some sort of commerce or e-commerce, or finance, or oil, of course, oil, pharmaceuticals. And now we're talking about the richest people in the world. Even the richest man, maybe one of the richest men in history, especially one of the richest men in America, Andrew Carnegie, he sold his business for like $480 million at the time, and that was in the 1900s. But if you take it into today's dollars, if you take inflation into account, he would be worth in today's dollars 430 billion. So he's way richer than Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates combined. But people, I saw this, whether it was a Bloomberg article or a Forbes article, one of them, an article saying that Jeff Bezos is the richest man in history, which is false, because there are several sources and supports that suggest that people like
Julius Caesar?
I didn't think of that. I was thinking of Vladimir Putin and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, that these people are way more rich than Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. But that article poorly stated that Jeff Bezos is the richest man in history, when
maybe,
we know that
I think Cleopatra was probably richer than most people in terms of inflation. Perhaps.
Like, you have to think about all of the pharaohs back in the day, the pharaohs, the emperors, all of the kingdoms in Africa and Europe and Asia and elsewhere. Think of all those Chinese emperors, all that land they had, all those people they had control over, not to mention the likes of Alexander the Great and the Huns and all those people that took over all that land.
The Mongols.
In terms of assets, they must have been billionaires, like perhaps as rich or even richer than any of these tech moguls today.
In regards to inflation or whatever.
You have to take that into account, yes, because the dollar or the pound isn't as strong as it used to be.
We'll see how the European deal works out. Oh yeah, fun fact. We're closer to the lifespan of Cleopatra than she was to the constructions of the pyramids. there's less time between us and Cleopatra than the completion between her of the pyramids and her.
Okay.
That surprised you?
Not really. You're saying that there's a shorter time between her and us than her and the pyramids?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean, I don't know when Cleopatra was born, and I don't know exactly when the pyramids were made. I'm not even sure most people can accurately estimate that, but they've tried. Forgive me, I'm a bit tired today. But let's focus. Okay, so with this People's March, do you think it will make any difference?
No.
Mm.
Yeah, no. I don't think it does anything. Well, that petition, like, it's that a petition, like, I have no idea what it's on, it's past 4 million or whatever, but, like, they say when a petition hits over 100,000, it has to be discussed. It passed that target and they haven't discussed it, so I doubt they will, no matter how many votes it gets. And also, lots of people online are saying most people that voted for it aren't from the UK, so their views are irrelevant. So, I don't think that makes a difference. Like I said, I want one thing. I want all the parties to unite and have a debate or a discussion about things, and then if they can make us leave in work, we should leave. If they can't make us leave work, revoke Article 50. But they have to meet and talk amongst themselves anyway. So if they can make it work, as we talked about last week, they could make it work if they didn't stop. If the infighting stopped, do you think they can make a good deal happen? Appear out of thin air. Well, not thin air. Like they can make it happen. A good deal if they probably.
They've had all this time to do it, and whichever deal May comes out with.
No, they all together, not just May on her own.
No, that's what I'm saying. They, as a collective, have rejected May's deals and amendments multiple times. So perhaps there's a much stronger argument of letting the people decide which sort of deal they want, and then the Parliament have to agree on that, and then they take that to the EU. But then there's always a chance that could be rejected as well.
Okay, well I remember like on the last list yesterday they said there was apparently like 7 options that the EU gave us, like extend it, go for a no deal, go for a this kind of deal, that kind of deal, revoke Article 50. Maybe they could put that list of 7 to the public.
That would make a lot more sense. That way the EU can't backtrack it because those are the options that they gave us in the first place.
Those 7, we gotta choose between them. I think it's 7, it might be...
Whichever number it is.
Wait, is that too many? Should we condense it down?
No. I mean, I don't think it should be condensed down.
So the 7...
Because if it's condensed down and the government pick and choose which ones they like, people will complain and say, what about the others?
So if you just say take away the no deal and you leave the other 6, like revoke or go for a soft deal or hard deal or whatever, and then a lot of people be complaining, why did you get rid of no deal?
With a step-by-step guide as to what those options actually entail. Like a soft Brexit is like, do you want us to leave the EU and have the single market and customs union? Obviously that won't be an option given by the EU, but...
I don't know. I think that's one of the 7 options. But again, I think economically a no deal is the worst scenario, so that's the one I would take out. But lots of people want a no deal. Do you think a no deal could work for us?
I wouldn't say that a no deal would leave everything up in the air. I'm pretty sure that there are contingents. I'm pretty sure Theresa May's government have made contingencies for a no-deal agreement, considering that's what she's been saying is going to happen for the past few months. She's saying, oh, we have to prepare for a no-deal. I would like to believe that since she's been saying we're preparing for a no-deal, that they've actually started preparing for the worst-case scenario, as opposed to just saying it and then things go into an uproar. Because we have to think about all of those products going to and from, say, I think Dorset, is it?
Dover?
or Dover. Going from France into Dover into the United Kingdom.
Also, how they spent like millions on a shipping company that without any ships. Apparently that happened. But again, do you think anyone will go for that? Like, giving the 7 options to the public? But then what if what did they say? They say what if that's like a 3-way tie or 4-way tie?
Yeah, but it's almost impossible for that to happen. Like,
7 options or 6 options or 5. Well, it's 7 at the moment, and you say keep.
I'm sure there'll be 2 or 3 that will be pretty close, but not like exactly tied.
So you don't expect it to be like a 32% difference between the top 2?
No, yeah, 33, but then the 33% will win.
Of the voting population. Apparently, only 70-something% of people showed up for voting. Oh yeah. So, again, I don't like how divisive people get. It's so toxic online. People we voted leave, and they basically belittle everyone that voted to remain, and the remainers aren't any that aren't much better. There's a lot. They're people. These are people that are your neighbors, and people. You're why are they so disrespectful with each other? It's just annoying.
Well, as I said last week, Theresa May's in a difficult position no matter what.
No, I'm just talking about people in general. People just throwing each other over this. It's just depressing.
I don't think it's depressing. I think it was inevitable. I mean, you've got a country that's truly divided. You've got Remainers thinking that Brexit is stupid for wanting to push through with what the public voted for. And you've got Brexiters thinking that Remainers are stupid because Remainers are saying, okay, it's been 2.5 years of negotiations. We can still stay in the EU. That's what we need. We can just say that Brexit was a mistake and just but as if that would help with our universal standing. Like we were the country, for good or for bad, whether people were making fun of us or whether people agreed with what we were doing. We were the country that were going to stand up to the Goliath that was the EU and say, we don't like this. We want to regain our sovereignty. We want everything to be on our terms and not yours, so we need to leave. Fine. Make your bed, lie in it, whatever. Good. Stand up. And then after 2.5 years of we're leaving, we turn around and say, okay, we're going to revoke Article 50 and stay in. That will make us look even worse, even to the people that were mocking us in the first place. They were mocking us, the different countries and governments, but at least they were like, okay, they have the balls to leave. Yeah. Now, they're going to mock us and we don't have the balls to leave. We both voted Remain, as previously stated. That doesn't matter anymore. What matters is pushing through with the democratic vote. The majority of the people that voted on that day voted to leave. There were people who were allowed to vote on that day that didn't even vote, they stayed at home. And now some of those people, not all, but some of them are complaining that we're leaving and that we're not staying. But if you wanted to stay, you should have voted.
I just realised that one of your videos you talked about how we're giving them the EU millions or billions or whatever, and we're wasting time by staying longer and longer. You do know that the EU give us money as well. I know you're a Remainer, but you don't have to go too far to that side. We get money and we give money to them as well. That's how trade works.
Within trade, yes, we would still be trading with the EU regardless. Regardless of what deal we have, we'd still be trading with the EU. But they give us money in exchange for products and services. But on the other hand, there have been situations like with Greece, for instance, where we've had to bail other countries in the EU out because of their own mistakes. Greece thought we can borrow lots of money, and then they had a major economic downturn and the EU had to bail them out, including us. And we were just getting out of our own economic downturn. We were just getting out of this austerity mindset. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We still were in austerity, but we were still forking out money to pay for Greece's mistakes. Now, obviously, it's good to help out your fellow man and your fellow EU members, but it would have been very difficult for the British government to say, okay, we need to help Greece and fork out money to them when you have homeless people in the streets. The NHS was and still is in crisis. You know, schools need to be better, infrastructure needs to be better, transport needs to be better.
There's only protests. There was two protests where school children left school for the environment, which I understand. It's just that.
No, I mean, schools need to be better in terms of like teaching children, because
No, they're talking about the school protests. You know, like those students went to that the Earth March, which I understood. It's just why two? Like I understand the environment's important, but surely education is important as well. Two separate marches. Again, that's why I say today probably won't make a difference to people's minds. It just makes the angry minority who vote to leave. Plus, it's literally the angry minority you see online. But obviously, everyone that likes it and comments below, it's an echo chamber. You're only gonna like people that you agree with, and then it just reinforces your belief where you remain on.
That's why people need to discuss specific topics with people that don't agree with them, so that they might learn something, and more importantly learn the other person's perspective, as opposed to just always thinking that they're right and talking to the same people.
Yeah, like before we voted the election, like a few people said that, they said they didn't like certain things that the EU did, and I was like, oh, that's kind of bad. I wasn't really paying attention to what they said, but like some people, different people that we met actually had reasons to want to leave. But saying that, I don't think they even believe that Lee would win, but it's the case of like, they thought about it and they still. So now everyone that voted Lee was uninformed, uneducated, as the narrative is, and not everyone who voted Remain is well educated.
The fact of the matter is, as you know, both sides were giving false truths. I mean,
but that doesn't really matter. Like,
no, it does, because it helped with the outcome. The Remain camp were talking about how if we left the EU, there would be an automatic economic collapse. Blah 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 blah.
Well, there will be a downturn.
Even when we did decide to leave, the media focused on the fact that the pound's strength fell rapidly, and it was at its lowest in 31 years. But they didn't talk about how it came back up again by 4 p.m. and how everything was fine. They kept when we decided to leave the EU on the 23rd of June 2016, or when the vote result came out the next day, the media kept interviewing different families saying, "Oh, we've decided to leave Brexit," and then have all these people talk about how horrendous it is, and then that would have affected the strength of the pound as well. So the British media didn't help at all. They were deliberately putting people in a panic and a frenzy so that they can sell more papers and get people to watch their news coverage. So that they weren't very patriotic at all. They were making it out as if Britain was like a lost lamb heading to the slaughter just because we as a country decided to leave the EU. And even though I voted Remain, I didn't think that was the smart thing to do anyway, what the media did.
Well, some people were stupid. Are you saying none of them were silly?
No, but the majority had good reason to do it.
Yeah, but some of the people, like, there was a very loud minority that basically the day after they went to House of Parliament and say, why haven't we left yet? The day after.
The loud minority, that's the problem. It's the loud minority that are always highlighted in the media because they're loud and because, well, let's face it, they're more exciting. Nobody wants to hear about the quiet majority that actually felt that we needed to preserve our resources and that we needed to put the country first, as opposed to always giving up money to illegal immigrants or refugees.
But you say, but economically, we talked about it. Economically, more people coming in to work for cheap, it improves production and so on, and innovation, and this economically, immigrants is good.
Immigration, yes. But
on an individual basis, like, your job is gone sometimes. Sometimes your job is gone, sometimes your job isn't. But on an individual basis, it depends who you are. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's not bad. And we think about football. Like,
no, but these are, I'm talking about based on other people's opinions. That's what they didn't want an increase of, they didn't want an increase of immigration because their resources were scarce as it is. I do agree that immigrants do tend to make society more competitive and, you know, boost the economy, but that's based on immigrants who are hardworking and have, you know, skills that we need in this country, not the immigrants that come here with almost no skills. And not like, most of them don't take up welfare, but I do believe that a skills-based immigration, some sort of system that accepts immigrants with skills.
What about the children?
That would be better.
So, like, if
no, with you misunderstand. With families,
yeah,
yes.
If the parents are high earners,
I'm not saying leave the children behind.
If the family are high, if the parents are high earners, high potential earners.
Not even, potential. If they have high earning skills, then they should be prioritized over those with low skills. It seems unfair.
Yeah, but
it seems unfair, but it might be something that we can put in place, because it's clear that even after we chose to leave Brexit, even though Brexit isn't implemented yet, the Tory government have been critiqued for not lowering immigration. Immigration has even increased. When Theresa May was put in place as Prime Minister, when Cameron was put in place, actually forget Cameron, but the Tories kept talking about restricting immigration, but immigration has increased. So since they clearly can't get rid of immigration, what they can do is at least, you know, change the parameters so that people who are the most likely to help the country out with their skills and their knowledge and their talents, they can be put first when it comes to coming into the country and staying in the country with visas or maybe even permanent residence, as opposed to just anybody for the sake, whoever came first. That's one way to go about it, since we can't minimize immigration as much as we can.
Yeah, but apparently I think I saw a post, not sure if it's true, so I'm just going to say what they mentioned. They said all the immigrations came from outside of Europe.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing,
But things have changed though.
Well,
like, obviously people coming into we have to take more things into account than people would have had to take into account 100 or 200 years ago.
Like what?
Well, first of all, the world is even smaller than it was. Like, there are a lot more people than there used to be, but in terms of the outreach and how easy it is to communicate with people from different parts of the world and to connect with people from different parts of the world has become smaller.
Yeah, something happened in New Zealand last week. We find out instantaneously. You get a notification on your phone in England. That's a whole world away, literally, and you get it straight away. I mean, like, how long would it have taken?
It's a paradox, yeah, because when something like that happens, it does happen. We do find out about it immediately.
Like 200 years ago, how long would that taken? Like 100 years ago, the telegram was built. 120 years.
It would have taken years. Well, not years. It would have taken weeks, perhaps days or weeks.
I don't know. Not in Roman times, they used to have messengers. Yeah, kind of how Hitler was a messenger in World War One. He could have died in World War One. He didn't.
But since these Western countries, including the UK and the US, we simultaneously complain about increased immigration and talk about how we're some of the best countries in the world for people to live in. Of course, people are going to want to migrate here and live here and work here. So that's the paradox. And then the other paradox is, even though the world is smaller because of more social media, more internet coverage, we can find out anything that's happening in the world instantaneously on our smartphones. Even though that's happening, the population density of the world is a lot bigger than it was 50 or 100 years ago. So that's more people wanting to come in from the poorer countries or countries where there's economic strife, or wherever they come from is like a battle zone or a war zone. They want to escape that, especially if they have kids. They want to take them out of that, and they want to they want to come to the US. They want to come to Canada. They want to come to New Zealand, Australia. They want to come to Britain.
I don't think it matters, but again, why don't they fit already in Europe? Why don't they just stay in Europe? That confused me. Also, I remember like a comedian making a joke about like he's Indian, but he's in Kenya, and basically they're called Cockney something, and they were basically ingrained that how great how great England is, and then when his family went to India, came to England, they were saying, "Oh, I'm Cockney," like, and the guy was like, "You're not Cockney, you're brown." I was like, "No, we're Cockney Indian." It's like, what's that? It's like so, and they came to England because the stories they've heard when they were in Kenya about how great, Kenya, how great the UK was. So they like you can't say we're Great Britain and then we're like, oh, we're not great, go somewhere else, we're not that great, go. Like you can't say you're one of the best countries in the world and be like, we're not that great, go. Like no, we're so great that no one else can come. And like that's a very exclusive clique. That's very elitist and saying like, no one is good enough to come here. I mean, we both got here. I mean, we're both born here, but like, it's weird. Again, I don't like how divisive this is getting. Like, I mean, some people don't like their grandparents because of the vote and stuff.
You've got 16-year-olds in the march today because they didn't get to vote a couple of years ago. And do you think
they wouldn't have been allowed?
I feel as if we should leave the voting age as it is, because I feel as if younger voters will be manipulated and taken advantage of by all these left-wingers and social democrats that say that try to push this emotion-based drivel on specific issues like immigration or anything else really. And instead of using facts, they try to push the emotional-based message to the younger people to get them to vote their way. Like if it's in terms of housing or even healthcare, whatever the left-wing mantra is, they'll try to push it to the kids first because they're younger, more impressionable, and more likely to do. Even though kids do love facts and care about what's true, they will be more manipulated or more easy.
They generally listen to what their parents say. If their parents are pro-leave.
Not always. Kids don't always listen to what their parents say.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're saying they're being manipulated, but they'll probably listen to what their parents say. Some of them.
Not always.
But some of them will. Are you saying none of them will listen to their
parents? I'm not
parents?
saying none, but not all kids are going to be like, oh, I'm going to listen to my parents.
I think I started by saying some. Some will listen to their parents.
Depending on what the belief is, the children might actually deliberately go against what the parents want.
So again, see, their opinion will be affected. Like, if your parents are hard Remain, they'll be like, no, I want to leave. To spite you. They're hard leave, they'll be like, oh, I want to spite you and vote Remain. Or they'll be like, oh, I support my parents' vote to leave, or I support my parents' vote to leave. To Remain. Got tongue-tied. But you get the gist, right?
No, I do.
But also, for the record...
But do you think that the age should be lowered, the voting age in our country, to 16?
Well, really, I talked to my parents about it, and my dad found it strange that the vote was so high, to be honest. He said most people in their 60s, late 50s, they won't be alive in 20, 30 years to actually, like, they won't live with the consequences of it. So, like he said, 50 plus probably shouldn't vote, and I was like... But
what about with issues regarding retirement and
No, this is just an example, like, but I'm saying that...
And elderly care and everything else. And just most things, really.
Like, no, let me finish my point. Basically, he said that because you're 50, like, you won't live with the consequences, so it doesn't matter. When it comes to elderly care, like, surely if people say, like, you keep saying that they could make us leave and work, but at that point, no politician, well, the majority of politicians don't want it to work. But the fact is, if they can't make it work, and it's more, in their eyes, more economically stable to Remain, wouldn't a more economically stable economy be better for the elderly as they get older, their healthcare improves and whatever? But also, on a side note, if we're cheaper, if we leave and the pound drops, loads of tourists are going to come over on holiday. We're going to get more tourists. We're going to get more foreigners over here. That's what will happen. Wouldn't that be a weird ironic effect? You wanted to leave so they don't come here, but we get more and more. I mean, we'll probably get loads of 20-year-olds over there, selfie phones and selfie sticks and like.
That's very true.
Like all those.
What about with getting here though? And okay, with tourists, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it'll be cheaper to stay here, so they'll be like, oh, so it went from like €200 to like 300 or 400.
What about with visas? If they want to work here or stay to work here or live here, wouldn't it be slightly harder to get visas?
unless you've lived here for X amount of years and you already have a visa, when it comes to applying, like, they probably have to go through the channels that annoying EU people have to go through. And also, I just remember, like, before the vote happened, I remember they were talking to an Asian guy in Birmingham, I think it was, Bradford, Birmingham, something with B. Basically, he was talking about how he just got arranged marriage and then he has to get, he got married in India and he was, like, annoyed about the different amount of channels that he has to go through to get his wife to England. And then he was like, it's so annoying how he has to go through all these channels, but someone from Europe can just basically come without any problem. And when I saw that, I was like, so instead of trying to make it easier for you and tackling the problems with your system, you were like, no, instead of doing that, I want to make it difficult for someone else. That's a weird mentality.
Make a difference to someone else in terms of what?
Make it difficult for them. So, like, you know, like how it's easier for people from Europe to get here rather than someone from India.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than, like, that's why he voted leave, because he wanted to make it harder for Europeans to get here than Asians.
Mm-hmm. No, but that's the thing. It would, because we would need people to trade with, so it would make sense for them to make it easier for
but
people
why?
in
But
India
why
and
would
China
they?
to get here.
Yeah, but why would they intentionally make it harder for someone else rather than trying to work on policy to try to make it easier for them? They would make it hard. They would rather make it harder for someone else. Like, they would rather do something that's judgmental to other people rather than.
Well, perhaps they won't. Perhaps the Brexit would be soft and it would.
No. But that was his intention. That was pretty clear. That was his intention. I'm not saying everyone I voted leave was like that. But when I saw that is such a hypocritical thing to do. Why would you be that, like, negative to the people that you haven't met? Like, rather than try to fix the flaws in your system, you'd be like, no, you have to make it difficult for other people. It's just, I just don't. Again, everything's just getting toxic, and it's just. I think that's another reason I didn't want to go to the march. Like, it would have been like very hard Remainers, and it would have been like so many, and then some, and I'm guessing some leavers would have come in, and it would have become a whole other thing. Like, you got that random guy on the train that said it's not happening, so.
Yeah, that was earlier today.
Thanks for having a guest without telling me.
That wasn't a guest.
Yeah. But did he say anything else when the camera was off?
No, he had to leave.
The irony.
We will have to cut this soon because the phone sends a notification. It might go off at any second.
Alrighty. Well, this was more of an informal, like, catch up. We'll go back to a more structured take next time. We'll see what happens. I don't know one solution, but yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh yeah, David Attenborough. I guess because I'm cutting out the other bit. David Attenborough, he said before the vote, he said he found it strange that we're the public are voting on that when we have qualified politicians involved. So he said it's strange that we had the vote anyway, and he's 90 plus and he's older than most people that voted to leave. So the age argument that people keep mentioning, it's invalid because plenty of elderly people, well, classified as elderly people, voted to remain, and plenty of young people, as I said, people that we know who are young or like university to younger, voted to leave as well. So so it's kind of annoying how like the amount of different questions they've had. They said we didn't vote to remain. Only London voted to remain. Like, so I always get like, why doesn't it invalidate it? Like, there are more people in London and like other Newcastle voted to remain. But no, you're not talking about Newcastle, are you? Bristol voted to remain, but you're not talking about Bristol. You're talking about London, Scotland. There
are a lot more opportunities to reach out internationally in the bigger cities like London and Birmingham and all those other major cities with the bigger population densities than there are in the smaller rural towns. So in the small rural towns where there is less funding for projects in these towns,
yeah, but that's
they're more likely to vote Brexit.
But that's not because of our membership in the EU. That's infrastructural problem. That's structural.
Yes, but from their perspective, they might. I would presume from their perspective, they might think, okay, in our small little city, there's not much funding. There's not much to do here. But the government that's based in London has so much money to fork out to the EU. Don't they care about us? And then they presume. I would presume that they would presume that if they vote leave, and then if we leave, there'd be more money for them.
Either way, right. Next Friday is when, like, we have to, like, what happens? But they're gonna vote on decide whether or not to go for one. They have to agree to May's, and then they extend it. And if they don't agree with May, chances that we might still leave next Friday with no deal. It'll be an exciting moment for our channel. We get to react to the fallout of whatever happens next Friday. Exciting here. Exciting?
I'm not excited. I just want this over and done with. I won't lie to you.
I know, Adam Hills from last week said he's not going to shave his beard off until a resolution is found. And imagine if it gets delayed to June. That beard is going to be so long. Okay. Final thoughts? I said mine, so.
My final thoughts are with Brexit. It's been 2.5 years of upheaval and struggle. I would like there to be a clean resolution, a clean agreement as to what the British Parliament as a whole wants for this country moving forward. What exactly would be the best deal according to them, as well as for that to be agreed upon by the EU as well, so that we can leave the EU in peace. Of course, there'll be a 2-year transition period or however long that will be. And then after that, we would have finally left the EU. But according to that guy on the train and several others that I've personally spoken to, they believe that Brexit may not happen in the first place because of all the backlash every single time May tries to cut a deal, because the Brexiters think that the deal is too soft and the Remainers think that it's too hard, and a lot of people just don't seem to be getting what they want, so they'll just vote against May.
We'll see what happens. But again, like, I'm hoping when it's over, people will stop arguing. Like, when it's actually done.
That won't happen. People will continue to argue. Even when we leave, they'll be arguing about what we could have done differently, but then they'll mostly be arguing about what to do in the next stage. You know, now that we've left,
oh yeah,
who's going to become the next prime minister? What principles, what philosophies will be espoused now that we've left?
Wait, so people gonna argue anyway? So like, if we leave and we have a slump, the Liberals will be like, it's because you didn't get us a good deal, and then
of course.
And yeah, and also if
don't you see politicians blaming each other for stuff that happened 5, 10, 20 years ago? It was Labour that did this. It was the Tories that did. Like, it's pathetic. But they'll continue to do this about Brexit.
If they cancel it, how bad will it get? I don't expect riots on the street. Everyone keeps talking about riots. That's gonna be riots. That's gonna be a lot of arguing online. Maybe a few strikes.
There'll be riots, man.
They won't be riots.
There'll be at least one riot.
It's not 2011. There's no riot.
Things are just as politically divisive now as they were back then, maybe even more so.
I don't think there'll be any riots.
What was the point of having the referendum if the government complain and whine and then it doesn't happen because they don't think they can handle the repercussions?
That's when you call it. Okay, this is what I say. If they cancel it, I don't think they will. Again, like, you say that there is a way of getting a good deal. I hope they do. If they cancel it, I would just say, give it a few weeks and then call another election and let's see who wins. It might be a landslide. Everyone keeps. You're saying that Corbyn is expected.
They say that he's the fan. No, they say that he's the most likely to be the next prime minister.
So basically, when it's sorted and they have they're obviously gonna have an election when it's sorted. To say they find it June 2nd, 22nd, whatever, whenever the date is, in August. The next election, you think they have an election in August and he'll win that one. Whatever the consequence, whatever that happens.
That's the hypothesis.
Alright, well, we have a week to talk of this, and I'm guessing...
We have a week to look into it, especially to prepare for this vote on Friday.
Oh yeah, and I'm guessing you could do your in-your-face reaction, like a proper live reaction to... I'll try to make another video, and I'll try to speak louder. That's the clock. I guess it's...
On that note...
Yeah. I keep saluting. Why do I keep going?
Bye, guys.
Yeah, it's bye from Hugh.
Bye from Ryan.
Sayonara.